What's up, guys? Do you feel lucky here? Today I'm bringing you a little bit of a different video. I was playing Destiny earlier today, and I got thinking. A couple weeks ago they announced that they were going to be releasing Destiny 2 next year, and I played the game since launch for a very long time, and I got really into it and got really far. And as of recently, I've kind of died down a little bit. And as great as the game was, it definitely had its flaws. So today I'm going to talk about what my hopes are for Destiny 2. Really kind of hope things they add in to improve the game and make it a little bit better. I'd like to apologize in advance. This is going to be kind of informal and not really prepared so much. And I'd also like to apologize for my terrible Crucible gameplay in the background because it's been a while since I've played, and trust me, I don't do so well. So first of all, the thing that I really wanted to talk about was, I guess you could say, playability. Or really my biggest gripes with the game is I'm normally a solo player. And I know Destiny is definitely a group game, but I don't have a lot of people I can normally play with to do things like the raids or even the Nightfall and certain things like that. And, there were all the Destiny LFG sites, and I used them all the time, and they worked great. But I would really like them to implement some sort of system to find people in-game to play with. Because that would just make things so much easier instead of having to, hop over on the computer and, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Not that it doesn't work. It'd be just so nice to be sitting at the console and sit in front of your screen and be like, all right, shout out this way. I'm looking for a group to do this. And have people answer, and kind of you could inspect and look at everybody in game and figure out, like, okay, this guy would be cool to play with, or it would just be so much easier, in my opinion, if you could just somehow look for people in the game and get into a fire team and play together. That would be just so much better than how it is now. Because right now, if you don't have a consistent group of people you play with, you're going to be online looking for somebody, and sometimes it just doesn't work. I mean, sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Which, kind of also leads me into another thing, is a group of people that you play with. There is no clan support in the game. I actually never joined a clan because I never really played with people that consistently that I could have joined one or actually, had friends made friends that consistently played it. It would be great to have in-game clan support, because then I feel like it would actually get a lot more people who normally wouldn't join a clan or it would make it just a lot easier. And that would also lead back to the other thing I'm talking about, is finding people to play with. If you could have in-game clan support, even people, shouting out in the tower or somewhere, or talking about it that you met, like, hey, yeah, you played great, or I really like the way you play, you did a good job, you should come join our clan. It'd be, here, let me just send you an invite right now, and it would be so much easier that way. And all in all, I think that would just be a better experience, because they definitely geared it as a group game. It's not really a solo game, and I really think they need to support the groups better, so easier for people to find a group to play with. Because if you go in by yourself, it can just be a pain and overwhelming. It's just not very fun. And I've had that feeling quite a few times when I've played Destiny. It gets overwhelming because, like, I can't do this and I don't know who I can play with, and it gets really irritating when you find random people to play with and they're just not very good. And if you found ways to support making friends and joining groups in the game, it would probably just be so much better of an experience rather than having to go to an outside source and find something. Now, all that said, something that I would think that would really help playing with people is a better matchmaking system. I know they say they don't want the raid to be match made or even the Nightfall or anything like that, but I think if they could experiment and maybe find a way to look at a player's skill level, or make like a review, just a better matchmaking system. So if you found people that were consistent in skill, and you could probably make some matchmaking for the higher tier content. Now, I don't know if they would ever do it for the raid, but maybe if you did it for something like higher tier, like the Nightfall, or if they made some sort of new content that really kind of evaluated the play, like a player, and really matched as to see play types and see what would work well together, maybe you could actually make friends or meet people that actually you play well with that way, and then group up together consistently. I mean, it's all, I don't know how exactly it would work, but I think that might be a great idea one way or another. Just find ways to group people together that seem to play similarly, or even like in the same area. Like, so you can obviously can tell where you are in the world. If this person is on the West Coast, group people together on the West Coast, and maybe they'll have something in common, and it would work out a lot better. I think just finding a way to help people connect in the game, to make friends, is really the biggest thing that it just doesn't have right now, because you can do it through outside sources, but you just can't do it in the game. Now, that's my whole spiel on that. I'm pretty much done that. Now, moving on from that, my next thing that I really was thinking about was customization. First of all, I had a crazy idea. I was thinking, you get the ship in the game, and the only time you ever use the ship is you pick what you want it to look like, and then you see it in every loading screen you are in. What's the point of it? Why even have the ship? Like, why even have the point of being able to pick what your ship looks like if the only purpose it serves is for something pretty to look at during a loading screen? I think they should, maybe go a route of like Mass Effect, where you could actually go to your ship and walk around it. And I don't know if you don't really have a crew. It seems like it's a single ship, but maybe it's like make your ship a private social area, so you could get together with people just on the ship, and go from there. Instead of all being in the tower, if you had a group of people you just want to be yourself, you could go to somebody's ship and do that. And then on top of that, you can customize your ship, not just the outside but the inside. Make it like a player home, something that's yours and something that's unique. And don't make it anything that's gonna be based on skill or that affects anything like that. Just something that make it feel your own and have your own area in the game. Because in all honesty, it kind of gets annoying to only just go to the tower and like, oh boy, this is the place everybody gets to go, and it's nothing really special after a while. It loses its appeal. It'd be nice to have your own space to load into, where you can meet with friends or talk around. Just have to customize it just a little. It's just something more in depth to work on in the game that would just make replayability, or just more it would make me personally put more time in the game just to make that space my own. Now, the other thing that bugs me about customization in the game is the armor for the Guardians. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of it, but you were pretty much limited on what you get to wear. If there is some sort of armor you really like, but it's not something you get from the raid or from certain higher end PvP things, it's normally not going to be good in it. Yeah, I know there's ways to, infuse things with higher light to make it, but I would like a system where, okay, I really like this piece of armor. I like the way it looks, but it's not strong enough for me to use in higher end content. I would like a way to, say I could put on a full set of raid gear, but then that's what, so those stats stay, but then I could pick a different visual piece instead of, the way the raid gear looks. So, like, a game that I used to play is DC Universe Online. I don't know if anybody actually ever played that, but you could get the highest end gear, but then you had a, like, avatar customization where you could pick from any gear you've collected before and put that on your character, but the actual gear you were wearing is the stats that actually went towards your character. So you could customize your looks, but still have the stats of the highest end gear if you didn't like the way it looked. You can make your character unique. And that's what I really would want, is I want to be able to be unique. If there was a green piece of armor that I really liked the way it looked, I would like to be able to wear it, but then still have the stats of some sort of legendary armor, but this way I look unique and different from everybody else, because you're going to be able to piece together so many different things that way, instead of having to worry about, oh, if I wear this, I like the way this looks, but it's not high enough, but so I'm not going to be able to participate in these things. Like, it just gets so irritating sometimes. Like, I have that issue, especially with things like my class item, because I play a hunter, and it's, I really like this cape, but it just, but it's not high enough, so I have to wear this thing that I'm not really a fan of, and it's obvious, and, the capes for the hunters are big, obnoxious things, and it kind of disappoints me when I have to look at something that I don't necessarily like all the time. It's definitely something that really bugs me, but I really think that's something I really, really, really hope they do in Destiny 2, is make the armor customization a lot more intricate. Now, the other thing too, talking about uniqueness, is exotics. Exotics are cool. I mean, some are really good, some are, not. I just don't feel as though the exotics in the game are exotic, if that makes sense. They're just not unique. Like, I would much rather have a gun with some very unique skill than, some special. It just has this little ability that makes it. It's just like all these other guns, but it's just a little different because it does this. And I would like it just to do something, not necessarily make it exotics overpowered, but just have them be unique. Is this gun is the only gun, or this armor piece is the only piece that does this in the game, and only this. And now, especially now, that would be my thing too, is if you had a unique exotics for armor, if you were wearing that piece, you couldn't change that visual. That thing, I would think you would stay, because it is a unique thing. But in that sense, you would want it to be unique and special, so it's, you feel different by using it. It's not just some other, like another legendary weapon. Or a legendary piece of armor. It has something special to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the perks are pretty unique, but I would like them to do something just really far out there. I mean, even if it was some sort of real visual, even if the way they designed the weapons and had them some sort of unique animation or different, just something really different that would never go on any other armor or weapon, just so those exotics stood out from everything else. And it just made it made you want to use it. Like, this is the thing that you want to have equipped all the time because it's so unique and it speaks to me, and it would make its purpose meaningful to you. Now, all that said, the next thing, how do I say this? The next thing I would really want is, I want to go into is gameplay. Just not necessarily how the gameplay. I actually think the controls are great in the game. I actually don't think that would be anything I would change. I would want just more unique events. I'm really using this word unique a lot for the game. But one, going back to what I talked about before with the ships, besides being able to customize your ship, I would like to be able to actually fly the ship. I would like to have sequences where I could actually fly the ship and have battles with it. Like, that would just be awesome, where I could have control of the ship, and I would shoot down other fallen ships, or go after the hive, and have almost, even if you made the loading sequences. To to a degree. I wouldn't want to have to do it every time, but every so often, where if you were going to like discover a new area, you would have to like fly through, an asteroid belt and take down certain enemies and do different things and just make it different. Make the ship, just give that ship more purpose. Like make it feel like there has a use other than just looking pretty. That would be something I would really want. Now, after you got through with these ship battles and you actually got down to the planet you're going to, I would really, the enemies are cool, and they actually did this a little bit when they added the Taken in, but I would want more complex enemies. Like I would want even just like not just like the bosses, but like even the smaller enemies. I would like to have different ways that you have to kill them, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain what I'm thinking, but I would want, instead of just headshots is going to take something out, like you have to shoot the enemy in a certain area of the body to get them to turn. Like you have to shoot their shoulder to turn because they have a weak spot on their back, and that's the only way you can kill them. Just, not every enemy that's going to be just making every enemy a pain in the ass, but if, make firefights a little more complex. That's just you're just not mowing down enemies. This way, what I would think this would also do is they wouldn't just have to throw hordes of enemies at you. They could throw a few unique enemies at you. That's going to take you a little more strategy and time to take down, but you're not just going to be, but you can defend yourself, and you're not just going to get mowed down from every side when you get into these higher things, and you're not going to get swarmed with enemies. It just gets so irritating. It's just repetitive. It doesn't take skill. It just takes crowd control at that point, and sometimes it's just not fun. There are times and place for it, but I would like certain times where you had almost mini boss battles. Like you had some sort of enemy that came out before you got to a big boss, like 3 of them or 4 of them or even 5 of them, that were just a little more complex to take down, and a little more commonplace than just a special boss, but it was just something to make things feel a little more unique. Once again, I'm going with that word unique. But I think it would just make more sense to have more strategy in killing enemies than just dumping them out and having to kill hordes after hordes of enemies. So it's just not fun sometimes. And and with this kind of leads into my next thing that I want from gameplay is like more. Once again, unique game modes. Like, you don't even have to add in anything. Like, you could just make, strikes is my best example that I was thinking of. Is you make strikes ever changing. So once, this is, you have the same enemy at the end, but as you're going through it, no matter when you loaded it into it, it was different. Like, you fought different kinds of enemies as you went through it. Like, one time you went through it, you got to a certain area and you fought these unique, more complex enemies that I'm talking about. And then another time, it's just like how it is now, where you have to defeat a bunch of enemies to go through it. But no matter what, two times you load into it is never going to be the same in a row. That would just make it so much more fun and less repetitive when you're doing things. Just have different almost modifiers for these things, like randomizations, that it's where you could have thousands of different options or thousands of different randomizations for a single strike. That seems like a lot, but it's just little things that you could tweak each time so it felt different every time you did it. And I don't think that would be necessarily that hard, whether you threw in different enemies or different things like that. It could be almost the same path. You could even have different paths open up throughout a way. You all get to the same end goal, but different obstacles you have to go through to get to this end point when you go through it. So it's the same strike, but no, like this, instead of going right, you end up going left this time. And it's a whole different area. It's just something that it's different. Like, oh wow, I haven't fought here before, and I haven't fought these enemies before in this area. This is completely different than the last time I played it. It would just make replayability of these things so much more fun, because the way it is now, you have to play a lot of these same things over and over again. So when you have these weekly nightfall strikes and these, the heroic strikes and everything like that, and you're like, oh, well, here we go again, this strike all over again, I know exactly how this is going to go. It would just make it less, it would just be so much more exciting. It wouldn't be like, oh boy, all the same old thing once again. I've done this, 4 weeks before this, and oh boy, it would just make it it would make it fresh. It would make it a lot more fresh every time you played it. At least that's my opinion on it. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say. All in all, I just kind of wanted to get out there what I was thinking about, and maybe hear some other people's ideas. What do you guys want from Destiny 2? Like, what would you think would improve the game? What would I know there's a lot of people that are bored of the game right now. So I would like to hear, if you want to comment down below, what would make you buy Destiny 2? Especially people that are bored of Destiny, the original Destiny, or are just over it. What if Bungie made an announcement, this is what we're doing with Destiny 2. These are all the new things. What would sell you Destiny 2? What changes would you want them to make for you to buy the game? Please, I would love to hear your guys' opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion on some of my thoughts and maybe even expand on them. I just really kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there, and I really wanted to hear everybody else's. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.